Hari Om friends, welcome once again to my Sanatan Dunya channel, your spiritual home. In this video, I shall be giving my commentary upon verses 21 to 24 of the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. For those of you who have not yet watched the commentaries on the previous verses of the Gita, I suggest you go ahead and watch these videos before proceeding further with this video. These videos are available in the playlist titled Bhagavad Gita Commentary, all 18 chapters. Before I go ahead and give the commentary upon these verses of the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, I have a small request to make. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, then I suggest you do so that you may be updated about forthcoming videos uploaded to this channel. So let's move on. The 21st and 22nd slokas of the 16th chapter of the Gita are as follows. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The man who has escaped these three gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. The commentary of the mentioned two slokas is as follows. Here in the first of the above two verses, Bhagwan is listing in brief the three main qualities which a seeker must remove or get rid of from his nature. The first being lust. Lust refers not just to intense desire for the enjoyment of sex pleasure, but to an intense desire for the enjoyment of all the pleasures available both in this world and in the heavenly realms. Lusting after pleasures and other luxuries takes the mind away from the self and fixes it on sense objects. After some time of the mind being fixed on sense objects, one develops attachment and intense desire for them. After the enjoyment of the pleasure, what happens is that a strong impression is created in the mind for that particular object. This adds to the conditioning of vasanas and hence strengthens the desire for that pleasure. So desire leads to enjoyment, which leads to more desire and more enjoyment, until one completely becomes a slave to that particular object or person. The best way to keep lust for pleasures under control is to practice moderation. Also, with regard to certain pleasures like cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, etc., one needs to shun them completely and never indulge in such polluting pleasures. However, if one has attachment for a particular type of vegetarian food like pizza or bhel puri or ice creams or sweets, etc., then in the case of such pleasures, one should practice moderation. With regard to sex too, one must practice moderation, and that too within the domain of marriage only. One should never contemplate having illicit sex such as premarital and extramarital affairs. The more one enjoys pleasures without any control or moderation, the more the vasanas thicken and cover the knowledge of the self. Similarly, by lesser indulgence in pleasures, the vasanas reduce with time, and that paves the way for the attainment of self-realization, provided one is already on the spiritual path and practicing either Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or any other combination of these paths. The next negative quality to be avoided by the seeker and all people in general is anger. This is the second gate to hell as mentioned by Bhagavan. Anger, apart from being a moral vice, also tends to spoil one's health and emotional and mental well-being. If one is prone to become angry, then what one can do is that one should always try to live by the motto, I shall remain calm under all circumstances. If one can affirm this statement to oneself and be a little more watchful, then one can easily avoid untoward situations and bitterness in relationships. The third gate to hell being mentioned by Bhagavan is greed. One should always try to live by the motto of simple living and high thinking. One should not try to acquire large sums of money unless it comes of its own accord by virtue of one's prarabdha or destiny. And if one happens to be rich and wealthy, then one must certainly practice charity and philanthropy. The problem with greed is that it has no limits. If one is a lakpati today, he then wants to become a crorepati. And when one becomes a crorepati, one then wants to become an arabpati. There is no limit to greed. Remember, money is innocent. It is greed which is the culprit. The father of our nation, India, Mahatma Gandhi, used to say, "There is enough in this world for everybody's need, but there isn't enough in this world for one person's greed." So the onus lies on oneself to decide how much one needs for one's necessities and comforts today, and a little for tomorrow and the rainy days. So these three negative qualities or vices, namely lust, anger and greed, need to be ruthlessly removed from one's nature as far as possible. Else it will lead us to hell. It shall not only lead us to hell in the life to come, meaning after death, but it shall also create hell for us here in this life on earth, and also create hell in our own minds. Moreover, Bhagavan is adding that these three qualities lead to the degradation of the soul, and hence we should cleanse ourselves of these three vices. In the second of the above slokas, Bhagavan is saying that one who has escaped these three qualities tends to perform actions which lead to the gradual realization of the self. The first thing to do on the spiritual path is to get rid of negative qualities in our nature through introspection and self-study. Removal of negative qualities in our nature includes getting rid of lust, anger and greed. Once these three vices are minimized or reduced by the simultaneous practice of sadhana, seva and satsang, one's mind shall become cleansed of all impurities, and then with the pure mind one can realize the self. Now I shall move on to verses 23 and 24. The 23rd and 24th verses of the 16th chapter of the Gita are as follows. But he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. The commentary of the mentioned two slokas is as follows. Here in the first of the above two verses, Bhagavan is explaining the consequences of not following the instructions of the scriptures and acting according to one's whims and fancies. Scriptures or shastras are a guide for the entire humanity and more so for spiritual seekers. It is for our own benefit and well-being that scriptures prescribe certain actions and prohibit certain actions. For example, if in the Gita Bhagavan is saying that we should not indulge too much in the sense pleasures and practice moderation in indulgence of certain pleasures, then this is said for our own mental, emotional, spiritual and overall well-being. We should remember that the scriptures have been spoken by gods and gurus of different religions, and hence whatever they have prescribed or prohibited has been done so keeping in mind our welfare only. Lord Krishna does not gain or lose anything if people engage in sinful acts. He and other masters are unaffected by our sinful or even righteous behavior. It is we who benefit from following the prescriptions and prohibitions of the scriptures. Therefore, we should not act as per our free will, but rather seek guidance for our healthy living by following the scriptural commands. Further, Bhagwan is saying here that one who acts as per his whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. These three goals, namely perfection, happiness and the supreme destination, can be had by following the prescriptions of the scriptures and advice of our spiritual guru and avatars like Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva, etc. Finally, Lord Krishna is concluding this chapter by saying that one should find out from the scriptures as to what is duty and what is not duty. After knowing that, one should perform only those actions which lead to the realization of the self and not indulge in actions which lead to the degradation of the soul. By so doing, one shall be gradually elevated and finally attain perfection. So friends, here ends the commentary on the 21st to 24th verses of the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And with this we come to the end of the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Stay tuned for more commentaries on the following verses of the Gita and keep checking this channel for updates to this playlist titled Bhagavad Gita Commentary all 18 chapters. And also do watch the other videos available in this channel so that you can enhance your knowledge of the eternal religion or Sanatan Dharma. And in case you have not already subscribed to my channel, then I suggest you do so that you may be updated about forthcoming videos uploaded to this channel. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great time ahead. Hari Om.